Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityaṁ bhāgavata-sevayā Bhagavati Uttama-shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Durlabho Manusho Deho Dehinam Shanabhangurai Tatrapi Durlabham Manye Vaikuntha Priya Darshanaham Hare Kṛṣṇa Hare Kṛṣṇa 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare Kam sarvakamo va mokshakamo udaradhi tibrena bhakti yogena yajate purusham param ado rama tapovanadikamanam hitva amrika kanchanam vedehi haranam jatayu maranam sugriva sambhashanam bali nigrahanam samudra taranam lanka puri dahanam Paschata Ramana Kumbhakarna Haranam Etadi Ramayanam. Bhagavan Shri Ramchandra Bhagavan ki jai, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Purana ki jai. So thank you so much, dear worshipable devotees, for joining. We are reading Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Canto 9, Chapter 11. Can you hear me? Is it audible?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Our network is having some issues. Just want to make sure. So thank you for the feedback. So we read Canto 9, Chapter 11 again. How Lord Ramachandra rules the world. And the first few verses, we were discussing about Lord Ramachandra's reciprocation with the Brahmanas, how he performed different yagyas and how he gave a lot of charities, and he pleased the Brahmanas. And they were all glorifying because Lord Ram showed by his ideal example as an ideal human being that one must serve the Brahmanas. So, and then the descendants of Lord Ram, and then the return of Sita and Ram to Vaikuntha. So we discussed that in the last verse. So let's see the next verse, text 18. Tata urdhvam brahmacharyam dharyan ajuhot prabhu Trayodashabda sahasram agnihotram akhanditam. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. After Mother Sita entered the earth, Lord Ramchandra observed complete celibacy and performed an uninterrupted Agnihotra Yajna for 13,000 years. Wow. So I think we must have discussed this yesterday, right? Mata Sita entering into the earth, and then Lord Ramchandra didn't marry. That's the point here. Followed complete brahmacharya. Although he could have married, right? What to speak of after Mata Sita entering earth? Even with Mata Sita, he could have married more queens, but he did not, out of choice, to set the ideal example of Ekapatni Vrata. So, and later for 13,000 uninterrupted yajna, because previous yugas, different processes of self-realization. But the yajnanam japa yajnas, the yajna for this day and age is very simple. Hare Kṛṣṇa, Hare Kṛṣṇa, Kṛṣṇa Kṛṣṇa, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. We can do that one uninterrupted. Akhanditam. Khanda means break. Khanda. Akhanditam means without break or unceasing. Ahetuki, apratihata. That's actually real bhakti. Bhakti with breaks does not flow nicely, right? One day I chant, 10 days I don't chant. One day I do seva, 10 days I just serve my body and mind. That's not really, I mean, it will help to some extent, but it will not give us the real thing we are looking for. His Holiness Sachinandan Maharaj gave this example. If you're boiling water, you turn on the stove, the gas for 2 minutes, and then turn it off for 10-20 minutes. Then turn it on for 1 minute. It will heat, get warm, then again turn off for 30 minutes. So on and off, on and off. What will happen? Will the water come to a boil? It will never come to a boil. Similarly, if our bhakti is also khandita, that means with break, we will not be able to reach the goal, that is Krishna Prema. So, real bhakti is akhandita. Real yajna is akhandita. Nityaṁ bhāgavata-sevayā. 24/7 in a pure state. And in the sadhaka state, at least we dedicate some time every day, 2, 3 hours, 4 hours, for chanting, some time for reading, hearing, some time for services, some time for our worship, etc. with regulation. That's real akhandita, or without breaks. Lord Ram is teaching us by his wonderful example. Anyone else wants to say something on this? Okay. Yes, Lakshay, Babu, Prabhu, please.
Yes, Prabhuji. Smaratam hriddhi vinyasya viddam dandaka kantakai swapada palavam rama atma jyotir agatata. Translation and purport. After completing the sacrifice, Lord Ramachandra, whose lotus feet were sometimes pierced by thorns when he lived in Dandakaranya, placed those lotus feet in the heart of those who always think of him. Then he enters his own abode, the Vaikuntha planet beyond the Brahmajyoti. The lotus feet of the Lord are always a subject matter for meditation for devotees. Sometimes when Lord Ramachandra wandered in the forest of Dandakaranya, thorns pricked his lotus feet. The devotees, upon thinking of this, would faint. The Lord does not feel pain or pleasure from any action or reaction of this material world. But the devotees cannot tolerate even the pricking of the Lord's lotus feet by a thorn. This was the attitude of the gopis when they thought of Krishna wandering in the forest with pebbles and grains of sand pricking his lotus feet. This tribulation in the heart of a devotee cannot be understood by karmis, jnanis, or yogis. The devotees who could not tolerate even into tribulation by thinking of the Lord's disappearance, for the Lord had to return to his abode after finishing his pastimes in this material world. The word Atma Jyoti is significant. The Brahma Jyoti, which is greatly appreciated by Nanis or monastic philosophers who desire to enter it for liberation, is nothing but the rays of the Lord's body. Yasya prabhavoto jagad anda koti swa ashasa vasudadi vibhuti binam tad brahma niskalam anattam ashisa bhuttam. Govindam Adi Purusam Tam Aham Bhajami. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is endowed with great power. The glowing effulgence of his transcendental form is the impersonal Brahman, which is absolute, complete, and unlimited, and which displays the varieties of countless planets with their different opulences in millions and millions of universes. Brahma Samhita 5.40, the Brahma Jyoti is the beginning of the spiritual world, and beyond the Brahma Jyoti are the Vaikuntha planets. In other words, the Brahma Jyoti stays outside the Vaikuntha planets, just as the sunshine stays outside the sun. To enter the sun planet, one must go through the sunshine. Similarly, when the Lord or his devotees enter the Vaikuntha planets, they go through the Brahma Jyoti. The Gnanis or monastic philosophers, because of their impersonal conceptions of the Lord, they cannot enter the Vaikuntha planets. But they also cannot stay eternally in Brahma Jyoti. Thus, after some time, they fall back to this material world. Aruhya Krishna Param Padam Tatta Patanti Ado Nadrita Yushmad Angreya. Bhagavad Gita 10.2.32. Bhagavatam 10.2.32. The Vaikuntha planets are covered by the Brahma Jyoti, and therefore one cannot properly understand what those Vaikuntha planets are unless one is a pure devotee. Hare Kṛṣṇa Prabhuji.
Thank you, Lakshya Prabhu, for such nicely reading this wonderful verse. Very, very transcendental verse. The Lord's feet were stuck by the thorns when he was passing through Dandakaranya forest. And those devotees are always meditating upon the feet of Lord. Savai mana Krishna pada aravindayo. We discussed that in previous verses also. Those who are meditating upon the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, Rama, they always get to the destination of back home, back to Godhead. There is a very sweet pastime in this connection about Lord's feet getting pierced by these thorns. When there are multiple pastimes actually in this connection. One short one is that when Mata Sita was trying to take off the thorns, Lord Ram said, no, don't take out. And Mata Sita asked, like, why? It's like a lok katha. Because Lord Ram said, if someone takes shelter of my feet, I never take them out. So sweet. They have taken shelter of my feet. How can I take them out? One other pastime is in this connection. Lord Ram, when his feet were kind of getting pierced by the thorns, he had kind of compassion in his eyes, and he was thinking that if these thorns prick me, that's fine. Otherwise, how will the kingdom know the position of a king or a leader? Right? Leadership does not mean just to sit on the throne and to dictate others. Leadership means to take the thorns. In this connection, I'm just reminded of His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj. One time was doing the Gokul Parikrama, Vrindavan Parikrama. And this was way back in 30 years back, probably. And there were not many devotees at that time in the Vrindavan Yatra, maybe a few hundred. and then he would be the first person to walk through. A lot of thorns would prick him. And then later, devotees were reflecting that how Maharaj would take all the thorns so that the children are safe. Like the parent, like a leader, and any guru means to take the thorns out of the way from the disciple or the children, right? For those of your parents, if there's a choice between you taking the thorns and the children taking the thorns, whom will you choose? Right? Naturally, right? Everyone will say that I'll take the thorn. I don't want my child to take the thorns. Right? That's the real leader. To take the pain for the protection of the dependents. Okay, so Lord Ram said, well, if it appears myself, that's fine. How will the Praja know about the duty of a leader? Even if they prick Sita Mata, I will not be that upset. Why? Because how will they know the duty of a
Why?
Of a wife or a chaste wife? Chaste wife means in the pleasures of Ayodhya or in the thorns of Dandakaranya to be with the husband. Even if they pierce Lakshmana, I won't be so unhappy. Why? Because how will the kingdom know about the duty of a younger brother? Younger brother means to serve the elder. But then, Lord Ram, why do you have so much karuna in your eyes? What are you crying for? He says, I just know that in future, the Mahabhagavat, Bharat would come on this path. And these thorns should not prick him. I'm just praying to these thorns. Please don't prick these thorns to my Mahabhagavat devotee, Bharat. It's not that can't he tolerate thorns? Is he so, if Lakshman can tolerate, you can tolerate, Sita Mata can tolerate, can't he tolerate? Well, he can certainly tolerate. He's very strong. He's powerful. Very, very powerful. But he will not be able to tolerate one thing. That my elder brother, my worshipable Sri Ram, would have passed through this path and these thorns would have pricked him. Just thinking about this he won't be able to tolerate. So very, very sweet pastime. I really like this. And that's what exactly is mentioned here. This is transcendental tribulation. This tribulation in the heart of a devotee cannot be understood by karmis, jnanis, etc. This is transcendental tribulation. Because in Caitanya-caritāmṛta also we are reading the same thing. That how when the Lord is not that much pleased when someone considers, oh Lord, you are master, I am servant, please protect me from all the thorns. This bhav is okay, but that's not the highest. The highest is when someone considers laws as adhama or adhina. Like Mata Yashoda making boots for Krishna because Krishna has to go to the forest and thorns will prick him. Right? We have heard this famous pastime multiple times, but we'll again repeat because Janmashtami is coming and to hear Krishna Katha is the best. So Mata Yashoda is preparing boots, stitching boots. My child will go to the forest and there are a lot of thorns and hard stones in there. So I don't want my child to suffer. This is Mata Yashoda's transcendental tribulation, transcendental anxiety. She's not thinking, oh Krishna, you are the great, you help us all. She's thinking, I have to protect my child. Adhina or sama. So Krishna said, well, okay, if you have to make shoes, then how can I let my dear cows be without shoes? And there are only 900,000 cows, 900,000, so 36,000 legs. So, 3 million and 360,000, 900,000, so 3,600,000, yeah. So 3.6 million. Please make that many shoes. And Mata Yashoda said, Baba, how will I make that many shoes? I don't have a shoe factory. So the cows were hearing all this, and they wanted to reciprocate Krishna's love for them. That Krishna does not want to wear shoes so that how can a master get something higher than the servant? He's feeling like that. These cows are under my care. I get something, they don't get. That's not fair. They should get first. If they are all getting it, maybe then I'll accept. That's a true leader. That's a true servant, right? Nowadays people are making books on this. Like, this leaders eat last. It's a book like leaders talk last. That actually is exhibited in every aspect of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam and Ramayana. They're not the first one. Hey, give me prasad, I'm hungry, and all of you will eat if it is left over. Leader thinks, if it is left over, then maybe I'll take something. So that's what Krishna showed by his example. So then all the cows with their hoofs are hard, right? Their hoofs are not like human soles of the feet. So then they crushed all the sand, all the stones into powder, and all the Gokul, all the Vrindavan Raja area. It's because our dear Kana has to come. And when he places his soft feet, for the devotees, they are soft like a rose. For the asuras, they are like hard like thunderbolt. So that's their sweetness, the reciprocal relationship. Just thought to share this on the point of the thorns we're talking about. So this is transcendental tribulation. Meditation upon Krishna's lotus feet will lead us back home, back to Godhead. Any other comments or thoughts anyone has? Okay, let's read the next. And it's always a subject. It's so many prayers, so many bhajans are there which talk about meditation on Krishna's lotus feet. Gauranga Duti Pada, right? So many bhajan, Das Thakur, Bhaktivinoda Thakur's, Charani Sampiya, Tomara Charana. So many, bhajan that is being spoken. Why? Because they're always a subject matter for devotees. Our darshan starts with the lotus feet. And there is so much, sometimes a devotee, is always, I forgot the Maharaj's name was mentioning, sometimes some devotees just get lost in seeing Krishna's lotus feet that they can't even, see up. They see the lotus feet and then they're so absorbed in the pastimes. Oh, the lotus feet. This is what Lord Shiva is meditating upon. This is meditating upon the symbol, meditating upon the thorns. So going into those pastimes. 20-30 minutes may pass, they're just meditating upon Krishna's lotus feet. So very high level, but we can also try to follow in their footsteps. Yes, text 20. Someone wants to read? Didn't get chance yesterday. Yes, Sampada Mataji, please.
Hare Kṛṣṇa Prabhuji. Nedam yasura gupate sura yachna yata lila tanur adhika samya vimukta dhamnaha raksho vadho jalati bandhanam ascha bhugaihi kim tasya satru hanane kapayaha sahayaha. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Lord Ramachandra's reputation for having killed Ravana with showers of arrows at the request of the demigods and for having built a bridge over the ocean does not constitute the factual glory of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Lord Ramachandra, whose spiritual body is always engaged in various pastimes. Lord Ramachandra has no equal or superior, and therefore he had no need to take help from the monkeys to gain victory over Ravana. Purport. As stated in the Vedas, Shvetashvatara Upanishad 6.8, na tasya karyam karanam cha vidyate, na tat samaschabhyadhikascha drishyate, parasya sakti vibhidaiva shuyate, Swabhaviki Jnana Bala Kriya Cha. The Supreme Lord has nothing to do, and no one is found to be equal to or greater than him, for everything is done naturally and systematically by his multifarious energies. The Lord has nothing to do, natasya karyam karanam cha vidyate. Whatever he does is his pastimes. The Lord has no duty to perform to oblige anyone. Nonetheless, he appears to act to protect his devotees or kill his enemies. Of course, no one can be the Lord's enemy, since who could be more powerful than the Lord? There is actually no question of anyone's being his enemy. But when the Lord wants to take pleasure in pastimes, he comes down to this material world and acts like a human being, thus showing his wonderful, glorious activities to please the devotees. His devotees always want to see the Lord victorious in varied activities, and therefore, to please himself and them, the Lord sometimes agrees to act as a human being and perform wonderful, uncommon pastimes for the satisfaction of the devotees. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, back to you. Please explain.
Thank you so much, Mataji, for so nicely reading. So Lord is not just a powerful human being, right? Killing Ravana, building a bridge, there's some powerful jiva could do certain things, right? Indra with this thunderbolt can do multiple things. Some powerful people can walk on the water, so it's some siddhis and all. So this is not the real kind of glory. The Lord is transcendental, spiritual body. His spiritual body is engaged in various pastimes. So everything is spiritual. The Lord does not have a material body. There is nothing for him to be done. But so whatever he does and why he does, Leela. The Lord has no duty to oblige. Nonetheless, he appears. Paritranaya sadhuna vinashaya cha dushkritam. Which verse is that in Bhagavad Gita? Who knows?
यदा यदा हि धर्मस्य ग्लानिर्भवति भारत अभ्युत्थानमधर्मस्य तदात्मानं सृजाम्यहम् परित्राणाय साधूनां विनाशाय च दुष्कृतां धर्म संस्थापनार्थाय संभवामि युगे युगे.
Nice, Mataji. What's the number?
4.7 and 4.8.
Yes, 4.7, 4.8. Very nice. Thank you, Mataji. You're so scholarly. So again, coming back, and then Prabhupada is quoting this verse also from the Upanishad, the Shvetashvara Upanishad, that there is nothing for the Lord to be done. There is no one equal or superior. Yet he acts like as if he's an ordinary child, as an ordinary human being. But so this is not the real glory. Real glory is the Lord is infinite. Lord is transcendental. It's every janma karma chame divyam. Everything is transcendental. So one should not consider, sometimes people think, well, okay, Krishna was there and he was just a powerful person. Some people, like in material world also, some people are powerful, some people are wealthy, maybe a millionaire, maybe a billionaire. Some people are like world heavyweight champion. It's not that Krishna was like that or Rama was like that. Today, Mr. X could be millionaire or billionaire. 30 years back, do we know who was the richest person? 60 years back? They keep changing. Same with the world heavyweight champion. Every year there is some different person. Same with the beauty contest, Mr. World, Miss World. I believe they all keep changing. But Krishna, he does not change. Lord Ram does not change. So he's not just an ordinary powerful person. He's transcendental. There is no one equal nor superior. That's one of the Namaprad, to consider the names of demigods like Lord Brahma or Lord Shiva to be equal to or independent. So Lord Krishna or Vishnu. Okay, let's see the next verse. Anyone who didn't get a chance yesterday wants to read?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, can I read?
Yes, please.
Hare Krishna, all devotees. Text 21. Yasya amalam nripasadashu yashodunapi gayanti agagrihanam rashyo dig iba indrapadam tam nagapala vasupala kirita jashta pada ambujam raghupatim sharanam prapatye. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Lord Ramachandra's spotless name and fame, which vanquish all sinful reactions, are celebrated in all directions, like the ornamental cloth of the victorious elephant that conquers all directions. Great saintly persons like Markandeya Rishi still glorifies his characteristics in the assemblies of great emperors like Maharaj Yudhishthira. Similarly, all the saintly kings and all the demigods, including Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, worship the Lord by bowing down with their helmets. Let me offer my obeisances unto his lotus feet. Back to you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
You have any comments, Mataji?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. It's the glorification of Lord Ramachandra. So, Prabhupada is telling like how Markandeya Rishi is glorifying the characteristics of Lord Ram in the assembly of Maharaj Yudhishthira. And also is telling that Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, everybody are bowing down with their helmets to worship Lord Ramachandra. So as we listen to this charitra, it's actually very melting. Our heart is melting when we listen to the pastimes of Lord Ramachandra, especially the pastimes that you mentioned, the thorn. It was so touching, Prabhuji. So we are very fortunate to read and to realize this pastimes. So it's we all have to offer our obeisances to lotus feet. That's what I get, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much. So again and again, we hear that all the great demigods, multiple times this has come, this point, that Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, all the kings, all the Mahajanas, Yudhishthira's, great devotees are worshipping the lotus feet. They are bowing down with their helmets. Prabhupada used to write crowns as helmets with their crowns. You know, all these demigods, Indra, Chandra, Brahma, they have crowns. But who is the master of all the masters? Deva is Lord Krishna, Lord Ram, Lord Jagannath. So Shukdev Goswami is offering his pranams to that master. Who is the master of all the masters? That is Sri Ramachandra. Interestingly, when we're talking about Markandeya Rishi, still glorifies. We'll read about Markandeya Rishi in, I believe, Canto 12 also. He is a very, very long life.
7 kalpas.
7 kalpas. That's 7 days of Brahma. Right? So you can calculate. 1 day is trillions of years. So very, very long life. So he continues to glorify Lord Ram. So we must also continue. Akhanda. Okay. Anyone else wants to say something or read the next verse? Somebody, Mataji, want to read? Okay, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna devotees, downward pranam, all best to Srila Prabhupada. Text 22. Shayo spisto abhadristo bha sambisto unugato opi bha so koshalaste yo sthanam yatra gachanti yogina. Translation purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Translation. Lord Ramchandra returned to his abode, to which Bhakti yogis are promoted. This is the place to which all the inhabitants of Ajodhya went after they served the Lord in his manifest pastimes by offering him obeisances, touching his lotus feet, fully observing him as a father-like king, sitting or lying down with him like equals, or even just accompanying him. Purport. Lord Gita says in Bhagavad Gita 4.9, Janma karma chame dibbang ebang jobetti tattata tyakta deham punarjarma noiti mamiti sha arjuna. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. Here this is confirmed. All inhabitants of Ajodhya who saw the Lord Ramchandra's citizens, served him as servants, sat and talked with him as friends, or were somehow or other present during his reign, went back home, back to Godhead. After giving up the body, the devotee who becomes perfect in devotional service enters the particular universe where Lord Ramchandra or Lord Krishna is engaged in his pastime. Then, after being trained to serve the Lord in various capacities in the Prakat Lila, the devotee is finally promoted to Sanatan Dham, the supreme abode in the spiritual world. This Sanatan Dham is also mentioned in Bhagavad Gita. Paras tasmat tu bhavo anno avekto avektat Sanatana. One who enters the transcendental pastimes of the Lord is called Nitya Lila Pravishto. To understand clearly why Lord Ramchandra returned, it is mentioned here with that the Lord went to that particular place where the Bhakti Yogi go. The impersonalists misunderstand the statements of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam to mean that the Lord entered his own effulgence and therefore become impersonal. But the Lord is a person. His devotees are persons. Indeed, the living entities like the Lord were persons in the past. They are persons in present, and they will continue to be persons even after giving up the body. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. So here we see the importance of doing Bhakti Yoga. Definitely, when devotees serve the Lord, when Lord Ramchandra or Lord Krishna is here in this material world, and definitely they went back to Godhead. But even nowadays, when the Lord are not present, but we are following the parampara, and that way we are directly connected to the Lord Krishna or Lord Rama. So devotees also at this present moment will go to the back to Godhead, and they will be the part of the Nitya Lila. So that's a Prabhupada always stretching on the Bhakti Yogi, and as also is in the Gita that Bhaktaram Abhijanati. I just forgot. So only by devotional activities, the devotee can go back to the Godhead. Back to Prabhuji. Hare Kṛṣṇa.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Very nice. Yatamam prapadyante tam sate bhajamyaham. As you worship Lord, the Lord will reciprocate accordingly. If someone considers Lord as impersonal, they'll go to the Brahmajyoti. But if someone takes advantage of serving the Lord in his personal form, like all the Ayodhya Vasis did, what happened to them? They were serving the Lord. How? By touching his lotus feet, by offering him obeisance, and by other means, by fully observing him as a father-like king, sitting or lying down with him like equals, or just accompanying him. I was just thinking that this is so applicable even now also, right? How can we follow these things now? Because the Lord expands through multiple ways. The Guru, the pure devotee like Srila Prabhupada, the Bhagavatam is not different from Krishna, the holy name, the Dham, the deities, the Prasadam, the services, they're all in one way manifestation of the Supreme Lord. So if we also serve the devotees, serve the Bhagavatam, distribute Bhagavatam, serve Prasadam, distribute Prasadam, serve the holy name, distribute the holy name, and observing him, fully observing him, the instructions of the Guru, the instructions of the senior Vaishnavas, touching lotus feet of the Vaishnavas, of the deities, all these can be done now also. It's not that, okay, Lord Ram is gone now, back, now what do we do? We still have the same fortune. So what will happen? We will also go there. Very simple. Where Lord Ram is, where Lord Krishna is. Back home, back to Godhead. Yanti deva vrita deva, pitrini yanti pitrivita, bhutani yanti bhuteja, yanti madhyaji nopi mam. If we worship demigods, we go to demigod loka. If we worship bhutas, ghosts, we go to ghost loka. If we worship Krishna, we go to Krishna loka. Very simple. And there's a word used here, Nitya Lila Pravishta, where all the pure devotees have disappeared. They don't die, they disappear, wind up their past, and we call them Nitya Lila Pravishta Jayam Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajakaacharya Stotra Sharshi Śrīmad, His Divine Grace Abhicharana Aravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Śrīla Prabhupada Ki Jai. That means they have joined the eternal Nitya Lila Pravishta. Pravishta means to enter. In their spiritual form, in their eternal form, as a servant of the Supreme Lord in different rasas, they enter in those leelas. One who matures his bhakti, a pure devotee. So that's the word used, and this word is used for all the pure devotees who have winded up their pastimes in this material world and have entered the pastimes of the Supreme Lord to assist him in different services. So they go back to Godhead, not do the cycle of birth and death or miseries. Any other comments, any additions anyone has? Okay, one last verse for today, text 23. Anyone wants to read this? Who hasn't got a chance yesterday, especially?
Who I can read?
Yes,
I did
please.
get chance yesterday though.
Yeah, please, Mataji.
Okay, Dandavat Pranam devotees. Purusho Ramacharitam Shravane Rupadharayan Anru Samshasya Paro Rajan Karma Bandhe Vimuchate. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. O King Parikshit, anyone who orally receives the narrations concerning the characteristics of Lord Ramachandra's pastimes will ultimately be freed from the disease of envy and thus be liberated from the bondage of fruitive activities. Purport. Here in this material world, everyone is envious of someone else. Even in religious life, it is sometimes found that if one devotee has advanced in spiritual activities, other devotees are envious of him. Such envious devotees are not completely freed from the bondage of birth and death. As soon as one is not completely free from the cause of birth and death, one cannot enter the Sanatan Dharma or the eternal pastimes of the Lord. One becomes envious because of being influenced by the designations of the body. One becomes envious because of it being influenced by the designations of the body. But the liberated devotee has nothing to do with the body, and therefore he is completely on the transcendental platform. A devotee is never envious of anyone, even his enemy. Because the devotee knows that the Lord is his supreme protector, he thinks, what harm can the so-called enemy do? Thus, a devotee is confident about his protection. The Lord says, Ye yatha mam prapadyante tam tathaiva bhajamyaham. According to the proportion of one's surrender unto me, I respond accordingly. A devotee must therefore be completely free from envy, especially of another devotees. To envy other devotee is a great offense, a Vaishnava aparadh. A devotee who constantly engages in hearing and chanting Shravana Katha Kirtana is certainly freed from the disease of envy. Thus he becomes eligible to go back home, back to Godhead. Hare Krishna. So in this wonderful purport, Prabhupada is really stressing on most important thing is about not being envious. Anagha is the word used in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. And Lord Krishna tells Arjuna that I'm telling you this knowledge because you are not envious. It's the most basic quality, it's the foundation of all other qualities, is not being envious. If one is envious, he's definitely not going to be freed of birth or death. And Prabhupada actually faced a lot of envy. This is written, Mother Mukhya, our temple president, was reading this morning, that he faced a lot of envy from his god brothers. And then but however, later they came back and they said, we're sorry. And when they saw the success of Srila Prabhupada and ISKCON being built. So envy can be little natural, but the most important thing is to overcome that and not to succumb to that lower feelings, and to glorify devotees. And if we hear someone else's, best not to hear or see someone else envying, but if any god brother has that kind of problem or god sister, it's really important that we give them a hand. Recently, one devotee told me, Radhanath Swami was telling that, how did you perceive another devotee's problems in New Vrindavan? There were many. He said, if we see a god brother or god sister suffering, it's not our position to judge them, but to give them a helping hand. Because whatever the problem, it may be envy, it may be some other problem the devotee is facing, but our position is always to show them compassion and help them get out of it. And for that will help us also to get rid of envy. And of course, the most important point in this translation is that whoever hears these narrations will be ultimately freed from the disease of envy. So Lord Ramchandra can help. We pray that Lord Ramchandra can help us. And my real sincere thanks to Srila Shubhavilas Govind Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu. We missed you last 3 days, and we can orally receive this narration because of you. Thank you so much. And each and every one of you. Hare Krishna, Dandavats.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Mataji. I'm so grateful to all of you for giving this chance and association to hear. Especially hearing in the association of devotees is even more powerful, actually. In the Bhagavatam, there's a nice verse, Satam prasange mama virya samvedo grinanti hritkarna rasayana katha tajoshanad apavarga vartamani shraddha ratir bhaktir anukramashyati. When we hear the simple oral reception, the transcendental sound vibration, not concerning about the Hollywood and the Bollywood and the cricket and the football and the baseball, concerning what? The characteristics of Sri Ramachandra, his pastimes. That will free us from the envy. Even if one has envy, one should continue to hear. Some people say, well, I'm so sinful, I have so much envy, how can I hear? Here it is clearly mentioned. This is like the medicine. No one should feel. It's like the doctor, patient goes to the doctor and says, I'm so sick, I can't take the medicine. It's ironical. Well, that's why the doctor is giving the medicine to get rid of the sickness. The sickness is envy. If we continue to hear, that means we should take the medicine with more intensity and with more determination. That I have a lot of envy, so I must hear with rapt attention. I must do my very best to give, oral reception to the pastime and name, form, qualities of the Lord. In the right mood. We also discussed Ravana was also hearing, right? Sita Charitam Shravanam from Shurpanakha. So, in what mood we hear? If we hear with lust, anger, greed, envy, then we will become more lusty. Of course, potency will act, but if we hear with the right mood, in the submissive mood, tadvidi pranipatina, in the right mood, what is Prabhupada trying to teach me today? What is Sri Ramchandra trying to teach me today? What is Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam trying to teach me today? Oh, it's talking about envy. One should not envy anyone, especially a devotee. Okay, we should contemplate when I hear glories about other devotees. Do I feel, hey, why are they glorifying him? Why not me? I'm better. Or when someone else is being criticized, do I take pride in that? Or do I feel sorry or compassion? When I do more service, or maybe someone may give more donation and say, well, this person did not recognize my name. This person only gave $100, but they recognized him more than someone who gave $500. So this Krishna will test us to show. Because envy has no vacancy. Envy is something which cannot be used in Krishna's service. Right? Anger can be used, lust can be used, greed can be used by transforming them in spiritual way. Lust to love, greed to spiritual greed, anger to krodha bhakta dveshi jana, like how Hanuman exhibited anger. But envy must be uprooted. You have to kill this demon of envy to see the dark side of others. It will stop our progress in bhakti. It's like this, the Hanuman was traveling over, which was a Rakshasi, which caught the shadow of Hanuman and not allowing him to make progress. What's the name? Simika? Shurusa? Simika? Simika, right? I think. Shurusa and Simika, one after the other. Remember? Anyone remembers? Who caught the shadow of Hanuman, representing envy, when he was crossing over the ocean. Simika or Shurusa? Anyway, someone can look if possible.
Simika.
Simika. Thank you, Prabhu. So she was not allowing Hanuman to go forward. So envy is like that. What to speak of allowing us to go forward? We will fall down for whatever we currently are. We will not be able to sustain what we currently are, because Krishna will not tolerate envy. No vacancy. How do we overcome that? A devotee who constantly, as it is from purport, last line, a devotee who constantly engages in hearing and chanting Shravana Kirtana is certainly freed from the disease of envy, and thus he becomes eligible back home to back to Godhead. So yes, if envy is kam, krodh, lobh, moh, mad, matsarya, right? That's what we're talking about here. Matsarya. The Bhagavatam is for nirmatsaranam, non-envious, anusuyave. Then only we'll be able to hear and absorb the message of Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam. So right now it's there, right? It's there. It's the last of the 6 demons. Is when Bhakti Charu Maharaj explained this. If one is free from envy, that means one is free from Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, Mad also. It's the last demon which goes. So, if someone says, I have no envy, that means that person is actually pure. There's no ego, no lust, no anger, no greed, no envy, no desires, no material desires. And it's the last demon to go. Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, Mad, Matsarya. Anyways, I understand that, I have that. So, at least I should not, even if in the mind it comes, we should inundate ourselves with the positive. It's like speaking ill about others is like eating stool from the mouth. That's what Shastra say. Envious words, criticism, envy. Criticism is also because of envy to prove I'm better. That's why someone will criticize, hey, he's not good, I'm good. He doesn't know how to do things, I know how to do things. Or he doesn't do this, I know how to do that. Just to prove I'm better than him or her. It's all because of envy only. Or to show I can do better, I'm more this, I'm more that. It's all because of envy. But if even in mind it comes, we can inundate that with the glories. Speaking the glories of others is the antidote to overcome that critical mentality or that envious mentality. And empty mind, devil's workshop, rather than contemplating upon how I am better, we should contemplate more about how Krishna, the Supreme Lord, chanting, reading, hearing, Shravan, Kirtan, then the mind will be busy. Otherwise, the mind will go in wrong directions. And the mind is just wanting to find things. Naturally, the entropy increases. The natural flow will go down only. To bring it up, we have to make an effort. And what is that effort? Oral reception. Shravanadi Jal. Shravanam, the first limb of Bhakti. Shravanam is glorified in every verse. Prabhupada was, really, really into Shravanam. But the Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur also mentioned that this boy, Abhay, really likes to hear. So, hearing will help us uproot all our anarthas. Hearing Krishna Katha uproots all the anarthas. Any other comments, additions anyone has?
Prabhu, this was definitely spoken during the time when there were no written things or hardly any written things. Can we consider that if we read this together, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, these two chapters together, it has similar benefit?
Absolutely. What to speak of reading the whole chapter, the scriptures, even say to the extent reading one verse. What to speak of one verse, reading one pada? What to speak of reading one pada? Reading one word of Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavatam has the same benefit. This is said in multiple places. There's multiple stories also in this regard. So yes, absolutely, absolutely. Absolutely, it will have the same benefit. Krishna Katha, Ram Katha, the holy name, Nama Rupa, Leela, Guna, Kirtana, Shravan Kirtan. Yes, Mataji.
Thank you.
Any other additions, comments before we pause for today? Okay, so we'll pause here. Shri Ramachandra Bhagavan ki jai, Shri Grantaraj Bhagavatam Puran ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Samaveta Gaur Bhaktavinda ki jai, Mancha Kalpata Rupyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Thank you so much. Hare Kṛṣṇa.
Hare Kṛṣṇa.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.